This video highlight is brought to you by our wall of famers who make it possible for me to carve time out of my very busy real life schedule and do what it is that I love to do. Be with you. Thank you. All right, let's see here from Morphologis. Best features of Star Citizen 4.2. It just dropped. Let's check this out.
Star Citizen 4.2 is finally here, and guys, it's one heck of a patch.
What's up, Atlantis?
After all that talk from CIG about focusing on stability and quality of life improvements, they finally come out swinging with one banger of a patch that's got some content in it that I really think is going to change the way we experience the verse. And on top of that, it also marks the first time in Star Citizen's history that a new vehicle was introduced in-game before we could swipe a credit card for it. And I'd call that a win for CIG when they could really use one. So dive in with me as we check out the best features, or content in this case, of patch 4.2.
Again, it's something that is it's exactly like I was saying in the last highlight. We're calling this content. It's a new area to go to. I know Elliot called it a sandbox event, and Ray's guide said this is not a sandbox event. This is a raid. I do agree with Ray's guide on that. However, it is, as the kids say, what they call content, and it is keeping asses in seats, and it is keeping people interested, and people are buying ships because they're like, oh, there's another thing to do in Star Citizen, right? My type of content is just having a blast, being in a sandbox and doing sandbox things, which is freedom to do whatever I want.
Because there's some seriously good stuff in here that you're going to want to know about, including some gameplay adjustments that are going to really ripple through the entire experience in ways that you might not expect. And if by the end you think I covered everything well and you want to stick around for more Star Citizen content, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to show your support. Just as I hope you'll stick around for the generous sponsor of today's video, Incogni. My audience is a smart crowd, and I know you guys already know that being online means you're perfect being that way, or so allow see aging incognito, and don't worry. Alright, so let's talk about the giant worm in the room, Stormbreaker. This isn't just some dynamic event like Siege of Orison, it's another addition to the now growing set of what they're calling sandbox activities, like the THUR platforms we got earlier, which is basically CIG showing off a little bit of everything by cramming almost every major system they've introduced in 4.2 into one mission. Think of it as their way of saying, here's all the new stuff and how it works together. The whole thing centers around hunting an apex Valakar, not those little ones we've seen in THUR already. It's this massive sandworm boss that's gonna make you feel like you're in Dune. Speaking of which, I've been enjoying the heck out of Dune Awakening. You guys should check out that video if you haven't seen it already. And this isn't some tiny creature you can take down with a pistol. We're talking about a genuine kaiju-sized threat that's gonna require some serious preparation and coordination from your friends to take it down. But here's where Stormbreaker gets clever. It's not just go there and shoot the thing. The mission flow is actually pretty sophisticated and gives you multiple ways to approach things.
Good.
You can start by heading to Pyro 4 to infiltrate a facility and grab a specimen keycard. Once there, you choose to either go stealth and disguise yourself as a lab technician with lab gear, or take the direct route with guns blazing and find some maintenance cards to access the key areas, or even just knock out NPCs and use them to get across the biometric locks. Once you've worked your way through the facility's security, there are multiple layers here with safes and computer-generated codes and locked doors, and all of it leads up to you getting what should be a specimen keycard, which is important for the next step of the activity. After you've got the keycard, then you head on over to Pyro 1 and access one of several facilities. You'll land at an outlying base where there's a tram, and that's going to take you on over to the main facility where you're going to find the Valakar egg and basically summon the boss. You pop the egg into the machine and congratulations, you've got yourself a date with a giant radioactive sandworm. And that's when,
and here comes the epic boss, and this is why it's a raid. And as Ray had stated, somebody's going to come out with a step-by-step tutorial telling you how to go through this. And it looks like Morph in his review is kind of telling you, like, here's how you go to get to the end boss, and here's how you raid it, right? I love the flow. I like the design. I love the looks. I love the storms. They cause damage to your ships. This is something I found out from Erad when he was saying he's flying through dynamic weather and got hit by lightning and his ship went down. He lost power. I thought that was so freaking cool. This dynamic weather is also going to be on other moons and planets. It's supposed to be in 4.2. I'm going to try it tonight. I saw rain on Lorville. I can't wait to see rain at Area 18 on ArcCorp. I can't wait to see weather in different areas and experience it. I think just having dynamic weather is awesome. I think what we're going to eventually find is, as Fingers had said earlier, like the promise of having the Valacar or the worm here has been foretold and has come to fruition and is now here, which is cool, because a lot of people were like, oh no, it's not going to ever come, it's going to suck, blah blah blah. This doesn't look like it sucks at all. This has a total Jurassic Park kind of vibe to it. Evil scientist in the Stormbreaker event whose name is Dr. Logan Jorrit, works for Associated Science and Development. He's a little crazy. Apparently he never watched Jurassic Park before, and then creates, these irradiated kind of Copian and Valacar, and it's just like a crazy testing ground for irradiated fauna. And then we get this worm, and this promise has come true that they said, hey, we're going to get this. Right? A lot of people have had a good time with this event. A lot of people are just like, wow, with Hathor and this, people are having a great time. That's awesome. More population in Starsys. When I log in now, people are everywhere. It's crazy. The population is like ridiculously high. Anywhere you go, you're seeing people. It feels alive. It's great. It's a very good time right now to be playing Star Citizen. It's because of these events, these raid events, right? Dynamic events that are happening that are bringing more people in and bringing more revenue in. Now, what I think is going to happen is, especially now that, like Morph was saying in this video, and a lot of you who have suggested to me to play Dune, which I'm going to do, huge Dune fan. I don't like the arcadey animations of Dune, but what I do like is it seems more of a like very fun crafting type of game that I would definitely like to get involved in, and I probably will play it very shortly just to get the vibe of it. But what I think Cloud Imperium is going to do is they're going to take the elements from Dune that we're seeing, how very active these worms are when you're in the sand, and I think they'll implement it. On Daymar. I think they'll try and do the same thing on Daymar. What's up, Spooner, with 89 people? Holy moly, Spooner. I love you, bro. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Good to see you in here, man. Thank you for that. 2 raids tonight, Ark and Spooner. Can we give a shout out to Spooner? Please do that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You have a good stream, Spooner. Hi, everybody over from Spooner's stream. Good to have you in here. We're watching some content tonight, putting our opinions down. Let us know what you think.
Everything goes right. 4.2. Everything should build to an exciting crescendo. The thing bursts from the ground in a earth-shattering explosion of debris silhouetted by constant lightning by the surrounding Everstorm and oozing with radioactive sludge. The whole thing makes you feel like you're in a movie cutscene until you realize that ooze is starting to be flung your way, and you need to dive to the sides lest you get melted. This is also where the new Sterling exploration suit you should have picked up while exploring will keep you relatively safe in the Chernobyl level exposure trying to cook your insides. Should you prevail, and lots of people don't sadly because it is pretty difficult to kill, you'll be able to reap the rewards of your efforts in the leftovers of the mass of glowing meat before you. Pearls and teeth are some of the most prized items, and once you get them, you can exchange them with the Banu Collector for some pretty cool new rewards. Just don't touch anything with any gloves on. Oh, and just because Siaji has a sense of humor and is all serious about gameplay, apparently pickles are also lootable and edible throughout the facility, because nothing says immersive space combat like snacking on pickles while infiltrating some clandestine alien research station. But as heart-poundingly exciting as it can be, there are some issues with the event.
Spooner, not a fan of 4.2. He says, I'm going to drag my nuts over some nails. It will be more fun than this.
Marketed as an exploration.
Good, man. Yeah. I'm seeing so many more people in the game right now. Like, to me, what's cool is these events are bringing in more people. And it's just so cool to see like a lot more people around in the game. anywhere you go. It is actually pretty cool seeing all the new people hitting the game.
Focused event, but honestly,
it
it
does
feels
feel
pretty
alive.
misleading. When I think of exploration, I think of discovering things organically, finding hidden locations through environmental clues, maybe stumbling across some mysterious signals or visual landmarks, but instead, what we've got here is a pretty combat-heavy mission chain that has markers that basically guide you where you need to go. There's not too much mystery about it. Now, don't get me wrong, the mission, for the most part, is well-designed and engaging, but calling it exploration-focused when you're getting waypoints to specific facilities and ending up with a massive boss fight feels like CIG's using exploration as more of a buzzword rather than an actual delivery on a gameplay loop. True exploration should involve players having to piece together clues or follow environmental storytelling to find these locations organically. This
Or working like as Ray's guide said on bookmarking sections in space and being able to sell those bookmarks for areas of interest or economic interest. That would be nice. Or having ships focused on long-range scanning actually work, right? Like these are things that we want to happen. We've already talked about this earlier, but like, you know, when it comes down to exploration, get the Terrapin working or other long-range vehicles actually doing their job, finding cool things to find. I hate to use this example, but like for instance, remember EVE Online when they added wormhole space and you had to go and find I forget what it was called, Y space or what, you know, like it was an area where you would go into like a wormhole and you go and you pop out the other side and it'd be like completely unexplored space. That shit that should be implemented in Star Citizen, I think that would be cool. You remember that?
This feels more like a guided tour with some combat encounters. But probably the biggest issue, and it's one you're probably already typing in the comment section below, is the fact that this is extremely
Fingers is right. Mustache wax and
PvP activity as well. In every instance that I played it, players were shooting each other on sight, with just a few encounters that ended peacefully. The problem really is that there's no incentive to work together. It remains the safest course of action to just plant a bullet in anything that moves, because if you don't, they might do the same.
They'll do the same to you. Right. This was a discussion that we had last week when we were watching Buzz Cut's take on this. And there's no way to like easily identify people that are actually going to work with you and not shoot you versus it's kind of like pandemonium right now, you know, like when you get into these events, again, these are raid events. People are going in there. There's no organizational tools defining like who's a friendly and who's not a friendly. And this is like the next step that they're going to have to figure out. Giving us tools, organizational tools is going to be like number one thing that comes from this, because so many people are going to bitch. People are going to use these raid events. They're going to be large orgs that get there. And if they don't recognize who you are, they're going to shoot you. Hell, if they recognize who you are, they might even shoot you. This is going to be an area that's going to be farmed by large organizations, as is THUR right now. But like, it brings organizations get together and clash, and to me that's kind of cool. At least there's something bringing people to make the event dynamic. And yeah, it is a cluster. It is a cluster right now.
Aim to you and often do. And it certainly doesn't help that there's yet another bottleneck in this design, like we had at Siege of Orison, where the tram takes you to one spot that players can easily camp and kill people who get off. They did remove the doors in a recent patch, but it still is a bit of a bottleneck and dangerous to just jump off the moving shuttle at the speeds it travels. At least they've tried to make some adjustments, so small victories.
The longer these are seated in, the longer these exist, the less interest there are, the more they'll quiet down. There's still going to be orgs on this farm unit, but will be less chaotic as it is right now upon release. Give it a few months. We're already seeing it kind of tone down on THUR a little bit. But like the thing is once they tone down, it'll be less chaotic and easier to traverse and to deal with and to get intel from, right? However, that doesn't negate the fact that we're still going to need org tools to find friends easy. Like we're still going to need org tools to figure out like, okay, where are my threats at? Like if you're going in here like this, you're kind of going in blind and everything's a threat. You're just shooting at, brah! You're just going crazy. You're going doom. You're going doom mode.
But as is the case with most of the things in Star Citizen, when things work, it can be a heck of a lot of fun. So setting all that aside, this is overall a great example of how to do feature integration right. Instead of dropping new systems into the game in isolation, CIG has created a mission that shows how infiltration mechanics, radiation systems, dynamic weather, specialized equipment, boss encounters, and reward systems can all work together. It's like they're giving us a preview of what their vision of the future of mission design could possibly be, what their design philosophy might look like. But by now you might have noticed that there's now storms in Star Citizen, and I haven't really talked about it, but let's talk about it for a moment here, because it's one of the cooler things that they're adding in with 4.2. This is Star Citizen's first implementation of a true perceptible dynamic weather system, and it's not just for the Pyro 1 location. 4.2 also introduces weather events on several other planets in both Pyro and the Stanton system, but
I've been fighting for this for the very beginning. Before this is even a stretch goal, I've been fighting for this since the very beginning of this project, and I got so much negative backlash over this. People are like, they're never going to do this, DG. I don't know why you keep focusing on this. This is an impossibility, blah, 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 blah. And look, now we got it. And it's so nice because like the OGs and I remember Theorycraft and Dynamic Weather, and we fought for this. Like there were a lot of people that were like, fuck this, we don't want it. We don't understand. It's going to be too hard to do. It's going to be too hard to implement, blah, 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 blah. And boy, we theorycrafted the hell out of this and gave some like design ideas. And I think Cloud Imperium listened to the channel, and I'm glad to see this. I think it's so cool. I think it's much more immersive like this when a storm can happen at any point in time on any planet. I think it's so cool, man.
before you get too excited, they are only a partial integration of it.
It's not full yet. He's right. More straight on.
Full atmospheric effects are only going to be found currently on Pyro 1 with its lightning and thunder and
I think actually it's near Lorville on Hurston as well. What's up, Diva? How you doing, hun? Good to have you here.
Aggressive distortion damage from the lightning storms that will shut your ship off if you're not too careful. So you'll still find some slightly watered down, if you'll excuse my horrible pun, versions on Pyro 4, Hurston, and ArcCorp, which are still a nice upgrade for atmosphere and for those screenshot opportunities that Star Citizen is so well known for. But you don't get the same environmental hazard gameplay that makes Pyro 1's weather actually more meaningful mechanically. This is actually a pretty smart move by CIG, as they're testing some more complex weather systems in one location first, and then probably trying to work out any issues.
Is the lightning only here? Because I swear we saw some particle effects around Lorville on a video that we watched. Remember that, Limitless? But we'll see. But I'll look at the patch notes. But yeah, it might be on Hurston. I don't know.
That they encounter before expanding the lightning system and radiation storms to other planets. So this gives Pyro 1 a distinct identity as the dangerous weather planet for now. That's really going to make you think more critically about when and how you explore the planet. Now though, let's talk about something else you might have found at one of these facilities if you've already explored it so far. And it might be one of the most exciting game-changing additions for ground combat players that they've added in recent memory. The Argo Atlas ICT and ICT-Geo variants. And
they thought I was stupid for mentioning this. I said we need weapons, man. Remember I said this? I said we need these to have different types of weapons on them, different purposes and different roles, man. I want to see this shit on the ground with functioning tanks that actually can do something. You see what I'm saying? That's what I need, man. What's up, Chief? How you doing? You're an algorithm, buddy. Thanks for following. Thanks for all the people coming over here from Arc Stream and Spooner Stream and following. I super appreciate you. I hope you're having a good night tonight. I can't wait to try 4.2 out later on tonight after my streams. It's just nice to have you all here. Thank you for spending time with us, and it's great to see the new faces.
Turns out that these aren't some look at me, I'm a mech novelty items you can occasionally Mario stomp an unsuspecting player with. These are purpose-built combat machines that are going to change how players approach FPS fights. With high armor and health values and mounted guns, these ICT mechs
they need to improve the looks and the utility. Right, Mad Style says it's meh, it looks slapped together, I want a fully enclosed unit. This is just an idea that they pieced together because I mentioned it.
I'm in a fountain.
Mad Style, this is what we call the banana prototype. You understand? Like, they heard me on the stream and they're like, oh shit, yeah, we better try that out. DG's on it again with another great idea. Let's just slap some of these on here and see if it works and if people like it. Oh, just so happened people like it. Banana thoughts. Right, Limitless.
Give players a small and mobile option for extreme firepower in FPS situations. And they come in two variants depending on which version you decided to upgrade through the Banu guide. You can get the ICT-Geo, which offers the jump jet version, or the base Atlas, which doesn't allow you to hop around. And the best part is that these are only available in-game, making it one of, if not the first times, I believe, that CIG has ever elected to push out a vehicle in-game before waving it in front of our credit cards on the website.
And people are still mad. And people are still mad about this, which is absolutely ridiculous, man. They can't win. No matter what Cloud Imperium does, somebody's always mad at them for something. They'll be mad at them for selling shit. Then they're mad for not selling shit. It's crazy, man.
One shining beacon in a sea of strange and unfortunate recent decisions that I hope becomes a trend for them moving forward. Finally, a decision that looked at gameplay before the pledge store. And it's not the only thing. They also added the Volt Laser Prism shotgun into the game, which seems to be more...
It's nothing huge right now. Like Hugh says, he doesn't really care about it, but wait till you see the future models, man. It's going to be crazy. Like the future models are going to be ridiculous. They're going to be like mech suits and everybody's going to want one. I mean, dudes, if you're down on the ground when FPS actually comes important, like, you know, when like people say to me, well, DG, it's not so important yet. The FPS, the ground combat's not so important yet. I'll tell you when it's going to be really important. When you own shit on the ground. You know, when you actually have a headquarters or a base operations and you own the land, well, all of a sudden, FPS is very important, man. The ground's going to be very important, and the anti-air game is going to be just as important. They need more anti-air units than what's currently had right now, and they're going to need more ground that actually is effective. Right now, the tanks are absolute trash. The tanks need looked at. The whole ground game, the whole ground vehicle game just needs looked at and kind of redesigned or rethought. The ground game is just, all these ground units are light as a feather, man. It's crazy. I mean, hover tanks wouldn't be a bad idea. Like hovering vehicles that could only go a certain... You wouldn't have to worry so much about the goddamn rocks knocking you off like every fucking 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Yeah.
More than a typical shotgun like we've gotten before. It represents CIG finally addressing the close quarters combat meta that's been a bit stagnant for way too long. If you ever ventured into the contested zones or the THUR facility recently, you may have noticed the ever-present LMGs that dominate the short, medium, and sometimes even long-range engagements you might be having. Energy-based shotguns open up an entirely new tactical approach and loadout consideration, given that it's actually pretty good compared to the lackluster shotguns we've had thus far. The Bandit Collector guy, Wikilow's also gotten some new ship additions that will give players more ships to enjoy, although with the addition of new ships it does make the pool a bit larger, and given that they are random when you receive them, you might end up having to try a lot longer to get the ship that you want. I really hope that they change this sometime soon because I prefer to work towards a specific ship and not get perhaps the same ship once again. And they've also added in some new hairstyles that show CIG is pushing character customization and play.
Where's the soul patch at, Cloud Imperium? Why you keep doing this to me? Why you keep doing this to me? How dare you? How dare you? Hold on a second. I gotta shame him. Where's the soul patch at?
Shame. Shame. Shame.
What patch is the soul patch hitting on? So that I can call it the soul patch. I mean, this is getting a little bit ridiculous now, Cloud Imperium. I'm waiting patch after patch after patch for a soul patch. Where you at? Where is the soul patch at?
Player identity forward in a pretty good way, which becomes increasingly important as social gameplay mechanics.
This is where all my soul is contained. You understand, Luke Goblin? Hipsters. Get out of here, Luke Goblin. Hipsters. Please, do I look like a hipster? The answer to that question is no. Big meathead with the soul patch, god damn it. Hipsters are skinny with like some weird ass circular rose-colored glasses and fucking poetry. Does it look like I'm a hipster, for fuck's sake? This is an actual man's soul patch where his soul patch is contained. Thanks, Seraph. They're afraid of the power of the soul patch. Right, Seraph. They're afraid of what it can do.
And it's continue to develop further like they have in this patch.
It's an armor set.
There's some really interesting new systems in 4.2. The introduction of radiation mechanics, for example, don't just affect Stormbreaker. They are fundamentally going to change the way we approach exploration across the verse. Suddenly, that Sterling exploration suit isn't just some useful thing for the event.
Listen, we're not talking about everybody's soul patch right now, Luke Goblin. We're talking about my soul patch. You know exactly what you need to. He's trying to trigger me, and he's doing it well. Let's hear. He's triggering me really good. Let's hear for Luke Goblin for effectively triggering me.
is potentially an essential piece of gear for any serious explorer. The dynamic weather systems are also going to affect the way that we look at quantum travel planning or traveling across a planet's surface in ways we haven't had to think about before. If you've been dealing with the storms recently, you'll notice that they reduce visibility and potentially affect your ship's systems, so you can't just point and click to your destination anymore. You actually need to consider the atmospheric conditions and then work around them if you need to, which gives some depth to navigation, like I said, that we've never really had to think about. But here's where things get even more interesting. With these storms, they may actually prevent you from landing in certain areas, which they do right now on Pyro 1 with the Stormbreaker main facilities. So think about it. If there's this massive radioactive lightning storm covering your destination, you might not be able to fly your ship safely down at all.
I'm going to tell
my Pyro 1 storm causes active distortion damage to your ship, like I mentioned earlier, which after accumulating, shuts you off and sends you down plummeting to the ground where hopefully you don't land too hard. And don't even think of trying to fly in nav mode anymore in these storms because the shields are the only thing saving you from that distortion damage. Ask me how I found that out. This means you're going to have to start thinking about bringing ground vehicles as part of your mission planning. And yes, finally, we have a purpose potentially for ground vehicles, something that we've been wanting to get for so long. Up till now, they've been basically just for LARPing or for occasional support if you had to hold down a ground area, but it's always been a bit iffy. Maybe you now can land outside the storm and just drive your Ursa in or your Cyclone into the affected area. And now they've added into the mix that you start to think about what you're going to bring. What are you going to wear? What environment are you going to face? What vehicles do you need to consider? We're still a bit far away from a fully in-depth experience, but we're getting closer and closer with each patch like this, and it's got me really excited for this year specifically as they seem to be really hitting home with some great content.
Content. Remember, that's the word.
What's really impressive about 4.2 is how it continues the philosophy that they outlined in that Star Citizen Live episode earlier this year. Remember when they talked about moving away from quarterly feature dumps and more towards frequent, stable updates? This patch is proof that they're actually following through on this promise. The expanded ASD facilities on Pyro 1 and 4 aren't just new locations, they're mission hubs that can foster persistent and repeatable content using existing systems, similar to
also equals farming, you know, and another reason why these are like raid events, you know.
How they've been constructing things like THUR and Align in Mind, rather than just requiring completely new tech. This is exactly the kind of smart content expansion that Ben was talking about when he mentioned using existing gameplay systems more effectively. Overall, Alpha 4.2 is encouraging. It really feels like CIG is starting to hit their stride with this new development approach. These aren't half-baked features that break up things more than they fix them. They feel polished, interconnected, and feel like they enhance the existing gameplay rather than disrupting it. The fact that we're getting substantial content updates like this while maintaining
content. You see what I'm trying to tell people? I said this on the Raise Guide video prior to this, is like, these are dynamic events where PvEers and PvPers can get involved. And therefore, people come in and they go, wow, there is something new to do. This is new content. I can do this. Now, traditionally, the definition of a sandbox is essentially freedom of play, free will, free choice, danger everywhere. You are the person that can get involved or not get involved. There's no sequences of events where A goes to B and B goes to C or C goes to D. It's just free will, baby. It's chaos. I love it. That's kind of like the sandbox MMO experience I grew up in. Somewhere along the way, more and more people gravitate to these in MMOs, which is interesting, where people just want like spoon-fed, do this, go here, right? The cool thing about the way Cloud Imperium's implementing this or seeding in these events is they allow PvPers and PvEers to get together. These are going to be classic raid events, and eventually they'll be farmed to shit by PvPers, and then the PvEers will get upset because the PvPers will lock it down, and this is what we all have known throughout the many decades of gaming. This is what happens. And then they'll seed in more and they'll seed in more. And the thing that I love about this idea, though, is that it continually brings in more people. More people will spend more money. More money will equal more work being done on the project and more success rates, and actually give us a finished product, which is what we want. So we're going to have the additional revenue coming in from Squadron 42 within the next 2 years. Plus, we're going to have additional revenue from events that they're starting to seed in like this. I think it's a winning proposition. I think where they're going here is a pretty smart play for a Cloud Imperium. Also, we're seeing population rates going through the roof right now. We're seeing more and more people playing Star Citizen. And, you know, frankly, the people that come in with a narrative like a wah, like a Debbie Downer kind of, the people that are like clickbaiting for the drama, and they're trying to monetize you, and they're trying to tell you all the shit that's, you know, the newest sky is falling narrative. To me, I'm seeing revenues being great. I'm seeing player populations up. I'm seeing content being added. It's like, it's a no-brainer, man. All you have to do is use your eyes and play the game to understand that it's going in the right direction. Might not be happy because it's taken a long time, or there's bugs here and there. Whatever issue you're having with the game right now, in terms of the business model, in terms of them being successful and making the game that it is that we want, I mean, it's going the right direction. It's going the right direction. If you saw the flight model video that we talked about last week on the Star Citizen Live, I highly recommend you guys check that out. They'll be changing master modes to something a little bit more complex. I had a couple answers for them and solutions to actual flight design in there that might help them out. I hope they listen to it. And overall, when you're seeing this in the game, and this patch hit relatively quickly after the last patch, and they're fairly big events, you know, it's kind of hard to come across with a clickbait sensationalist headline that says there's no content or there's nothing to do in Star Citizen. I would highly recommend, if you're watching anybody, a Star Citizen creator that is giving you like a sensationalist kind of viewpoint with the clickbaity headlines that are telling you the sky is falling and, oh, you better watch out, this is terrible, this is terrible. I don't think that's grounded in reality. I don't think they're playing the game.
The stability and improvements from their recent focus shows that maybe, just maybe, CIG has found a balance between new features and quality of life that we've always been looking for. Alpha 4.2 represents more than just another patch then. It's proof that CIG's new development philosophy can actually work. We're getting meaningful new content that builds on existing systems while introducing genuinely innovative mechanics that change the way we play the game. Stormbreaker, the dynamic weather, radiation mechanics, the Atlas variants aren't just features. They're the foundation of a new kind of emergent, system-driven gameplay that Star Citizen has always promised. And for once, I feel like that promise is actually being delivered on.
And I don't like way Morph says for once, because that's just craziness. As long as he's been involved in this project, for him to say for once is a complete slap in the face to everybody that takes the time out to design this game, to all the devs. It's like, oh, for once they're doing it right. It's like, really, dude? Like, how long have they been at this? Are you kidding me? Planetary landing, the ability to have like 360 degree rotational like ship, and your viewpoint's not, you know, like you got a constant steady viewpoint inside your ship. To be able to another system comes online, you know, like for him to be like for once, it's like, it's a little bit disingenuous to hear something like, oh, for once they're doing something right. It's like, really, man? Come on, Morph. Choose your words a little bit more wisely, you know?
The real test will be...
You got to remember, this is the dude who said there was no progress, you know? Like, again, I'm not trying to slam Morph here. I'm really not. But, you know, all things relative, I want you guys to kind of keep, like, a perspective on this. It's like, this Morph just months ago was saying that there was no progress being made. Well, what do you think this is? I mean, this is what they were working on when he thought there was nothing being worked on, and here we go. And now, oh, his eyes are opened, and for once they're doing something right. Like, like it seems a little bit, it's absurdity kind of in a way.
Whether or not CIG can maintain this momentum and continue delivering updates that feel this substantial and polished. But if 4.2 is any indication of what we can expect from their new approach, then 2025 might finally be the year that Star Citizen starts living up to its potential. But what do you guys think about these changes? Are you excited about the direction CIG is taking, or are there other features you wish they would have prioritized instead? Let me know down in the comment section.
Yeah.